5 police officers attached to the Zone 6 police headquarters in Cross River are currently in custody for allegedly adopting and fraudulently extorting the sum of 3 million naira from their victims. Now, the incident actually happened while the team was on a patrol along the Ikom-Calabar highway, according to reports. And in the press signing by the Zonal Police Public Relations Officer, SP Nelson Okbabi, on Tuesday, disclosed that the said officers were alleged to have indulged in corrupt practices and unprofessional conduct. 5 officers been arrested for adoption and extortion. I would not say that this is the first time we're hearing a case like this where officers are alleged to have, extorted money from people. But now adoption and extortion of up to 3 million naira according to reports. Yes, Dr. John, let's get your thoughts on this one.
In 2016, when I was serving under the Dixon administration, I did a program, a PGD program in criminology. And my project topic bordered on police science. I interviewed so many people, and one of the startling findings was that within the police itself, there are actually bad eggs. Most of the crimes, there are very good people. You have very fine professional policemen, well-trained, and they keep to the code of conduct of the police force. But again, within the police, they say among every 12, there is always a Judas. I think I blame this thing on the recruitment process. If you remember, I think, was it up to 3 weeks ago or so, 3 weeks or a month ago, the police tried to debunk a rumor. I think there was some sort of a conflict between 2 lists of those recruited. And so you still remember?
Yes.
So I discovered that in that research, the police is actually your friend. But there are some unscrupulous elements within the force that they are still susceptible to crime. Maybe because of their background. Some of them, you are coming from somewhere before you become a member of the new organization you seek to belong. So I think my advice here is that.
Well, what do you say before you start advising? What do you say is wrong with the recruitment process?
The recruitment process is always flawed. In Nigeria, we have what we call man no man. If you look at it, ideally, the height of a policeman, if you look at the height of an American policeman, there's a recommended height you will attain before you. But some policemen I meet here, it's like they are even shorter than myself. I begin to wonder, how are they recruited? I think it's 5 feet, is it 5 feet 6 or 5 feet 7 inches or something like that? When you see an American...
You found these out from your research that you did on...
No, generally, when they are recruiting, there are specifications. You must get a particular height before you can even apply and so on. In Nigeria, some of the policemen we see, I know that a lot of racketeering is going on. A lot of man, no man, I know you, so I want to belong. In some cases, when they undergo the exercise and so on, even when they fail, if the big man up there is disposed to, accepting somebody from you as a replacement, they do it. So indiscipline, again, that boils down to the issue of indiscipline in our society. Today, as a teacher, if I refuse to take bribe from a student, the woman selling onions decides to say, look, the onions I'm going to sell will not be the rotten one. The tomato seller said, no, this one is rotten, throw it away, sell the good one. By the time this thing goes round, our society will be a very commodious place to live in.
Saying that there's corruption going on in the recruitment process.
Corruption, yes.
Making reference to the stories that we had concerning the list where accusations were made that some names of people who did not pass the medical test and some other tests were included in the list. That's actually what you're holding on. If we talk about that, then it should be looked into, because when we talk about these corrupt eggs in the system, it seems like we see them almost every day. And it looks like those are the particular people we are meeting almost every day. It means that there's a huge percentage of that in the system. And that should actually be tackled. So well, let's come back to your advice now, where you are going to make recommendations.
Yes, before I make my recommendations, you see, this thing happens everywhere. If you go to the customs, there are people who are actually members of the customs service. Something somewhere happened and they have been relieved of their appointment. They still keep the uniforms. In some cases, with higher ranks. And they still use them to operate. The same thing applies. There are times they even catch fake lawyers. Have you forgotten? I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a fake lawyer was caught. And this lawyer has practiced for about 20-something years, unnoticed. You see? So, the problem we have in Nigeria is that, you see, this corruption thing, this idea of not obeying due process, this idea of not following the law, is becoming, it has actually affected the psyche of every Nigerian.
It's in different sectors, not just the police.
The teachers, if you go to the university, of course, I know. And because when we started our university down in Bayelsa, they know those who don't take bribes. If you, as a lecturer, because I will not sell your books, I will not add marks, I will not do grade racketeering, the HOD or the dean will say, Idumangi, you are not going to handle a faculty course. Because in that faculty course, there are up to 300-400 students. I said, no, I'm not going to give handout. What we used to do was, I used my office, produce some handouts, give to the students. Those who cannot get them should photocopy and take. Oga, we want to pay. I said, no, don't pay me. Because while I was in school, university lecturers wrote their books and autographed it for me as their scholar. So how else will I appreciate God? So my advice is that all institutions should be meticulous in recruiting, even the civil service. If you go to the civil service, there are so many rotten eggs. Some do not even have school cert. But you see, they would go to Oluwole. I don't know if you know that place in Lagos. Oluwole, where they manufacture, where they can produce any certificate you want to see. And until you scrutinize, it will be difficult for you to know. Some have master's degrees, which they brandish, and you recruit the person and employ the person on the basis of a master's degree, whereas the person does not have a school cert. Cases like that abound.
Not to actually talk down on any sector, but you see, when we talk about the police force, this is a very delicate sector, because these are people who handle these arms.
Yes.
Yes, and they actually come in contact with the civilians.
On a daily basis.
Exactly. So when we talk about recruitment process and when there are allegations of corruption, even though they've been asked to come up with evidence that actually happened, it should not be taken lightly. It should be duly investigated to make sure that that doesn't happen. And
you see, this is one of the reasons people are scared. You know, since the year 2015, no, since the year 2005, I have been writing articles on the imperatives of state police. Why we need state police. This is a highly centralized structure, command structure in the police, where you have to, where the commissioner cannot take, he cannot take any action without taking instruction from the IGP and so on. But these are the problems. These are the founded fears people have. Especially where
against state police.
Yes, these are some of the problems we have when we, advocate this issue of establishing state police. So if the police is as corrupt as that, and we have a state police, and there is a governor, the tendency is for the governor to manipulate the police in his favor. He will manipulate everything to his favor. And by the end of the day, justice is perverted, the rule of law is thrown into the Atlantic Ocean.
Is it actually different now? We still have such cases.
Yes, it is still better. It is still controllable now. I am not saying we should not establish police, state police, but I am saying that one of the fears people entertain is this idea of the state governors. Again, before we even establish state police, we should give the governors limited immunity. Limited. Look at if you are following up the trial of Donald Trump, the American Supreme Court just said that, look, January 16, what happened on January 16 when they assaulted and they attacked Capitol Hill, Trump was still the president. Although he may not enjoy full immunity at that point, but the Supreme Court decided, they ruled, I think 2 days ago, that as president of the America, he should be able to enjoy limited what? Immunity. You see? So before we talk of state police, so the police is corrupt. The recruitment process should be scrutinized. Certificates should be scrutinized. They should be able to take data, you know, they should inventorize, visit communities, do background check before you bring in these people. And again, there are, you know, before you join the police, there are people who guarantee, sign for you. I hardly recommend people, because I've seen a situation where a professor in University of Benin recommended somebody. The person became a thief. And by the end of the day, all that is told, the professor paid. So based on that experience, I hardly recommend people.
This awareness should really be created. A lot of people do not know.
Don't just recommend anybody except you can vouch for the person's character. Character is higher than education.
Right.
Education is something you can acquire. Even a madman can, in a sane moment, can acquire education. Even a pervert can acquire education. But character, that is a conscience we are talking about. So we need to do some homework.